Good afternoon, trend traders. This is Dennis Wilborn with your 10-minute market update. My wife told me that if I couldn't say everything I needed to say in 2 minutes, I better change it to how long it really takes. So we'll take a little bit less than 10 minutes today. It's March 26th. Show our disclaimer real quick. All materials presented here are for training purposes only. Traders should paper trade any new method or system prior to risk of personal capital. Let's get right into the markets and see how they're doing today. We're about 15 minutes before the market close. And today we're showing both a daily chart on the left-hand side and a weekly chart over here on the right-hand side of the charts we're looking at. As you can see, the Dow started up higher and then has sold off, but it's holding right there at the 8-day and 20-day moving average. They're combining. The market is continuing to show signs of weakness. The S&P, switching over to it really quickly, is showing a bit more weakness than the Dow is showing, as you'll see that as we get into the other charts we're going to be looking at. And it too, now we've got the 8-day and the 20-day starting to tip over, but we're still holding this support. We got another level of support here, about 1850. So the picture from yesterday really hasn't changed that much. If we bust down through these levels of support, you've got another level of support at 1840, the 50-day moving average, and then on down to the 100-day moving average. On a longer-term chart, taking a look at the weeklies, we know that if the candlestick that we're looking at for the week, we can't really determine anything from that until, in fact, the market closes for the week. That's one thing with trading candlesticks. You have to wait for the close of the period. And that was just a little alert telling me that TNA is going lower. We may get a sell-off into the last few minutes of the day. Taking a look at the NASDAQ. When I looked at the NASDAQ earlier, it was actually below the 50, and we'll see that over here. Yes, it appears as if we will get a close below the 50, and again, the NASDAQ has now taken out this low from Monday and continues to process down. Typically, they say the probabilities, if once a moving average is broken or a level of support, then you're going to move to the next level of support or the next moving average, which in this case for the NASDAQ would be down here about the 100. Again, as we spoke earlier in the week, we may actually see a bounce and a retest down here around this uptrending channel that has been in place for over the past year. For the Russell, is really weakening as we see. It is continuing to do so. It too appears as if it will close below the 50, and if it continues to slide, it's much closer to its lower channel. And as I highlighted in a video last week, the actual trend started to slow. Momentum started to come out of the Russell back around August of last year, and we may be getting one of those kind of slow rolling over type of tops if the market is truly going to top in this area. Again, over the past couple of years, on any type of correction that we have had in the markets, they've been shallow and they've been short. But it appears as if the sell-off that we're starting to get, we're getting many more longer, more bearish-looking candles than we've had in some of the previous pullbacks. Look up here on the weekly chart, and if we were to close the week this week, this would be the biggest one-week loss going all the way back to the first part of 2013. How ominous is it for the market? it remains to be, because we still have the longer term and longer term moving averages still pointing up, which means the longer term trend is still in effect. But we will, if we get a close below the 50, we'll then have a lower high and a lower low. And as we all know from the traditional technical analysis, that does define a downtrend. Let's move on to a couple of stocks. One of the folks wrote in and just asked that we do a real quick review of data and also Away. Data, the person didn't say if they were actually in the stock or looking to buy the stock, but Data, as of right now, it's a newer offering. It was an IPO last May and came up, made a nice little cup type pattern, and with a buy point about 75, ran up to 100, and then stalled along with the rest of the market. And as we can see, these 1, 2, 3, 4 days of above average selling is taking it down to, it tried to stop at the 100-day. It may stop at the 200-day and bounce, but we can see significant acceleration in this sell-off. If you are long this stock, depending on where you got long, the place to have sold this stock would have been this break. Let me get my pencil. This break right here and a close below that 50 would have been one place, but also we had a 8-day and 20-day moving average cross, which is another indication that that's the time. That's my sound effects for TNA continuing to slip lower. We'll keep our eye on that one. So this would have been an indication to potentially go ahead and take partial profits. Okay, excuse the brief delay. I have a train outside my office that goes by about this time every day. So again, we're looking at data, and it's continued to break down. Is this the sell-off that's going to help it find support down here and start rebuilding a base? We don't know yet, because it continues to push lower, lower, lower. And I would anticipate it may get some support down in this area, which appears that where it had a former breakout. That would make sense, that would be a support. But as long as the moving averages now are looking like they are turned, well, you've got the 20 and the 8 that have already turned over. The 50 looks as if it is starting to turn over. This may become a short candidate rather than a going long, because it would have, the price action would have to get back above the 50 or put in a real nice base and then start moving back up for the 50 before becoming interesting as a long candidate. Away, took a look at that a little bit earlier, and Away is actually, it was earlier in the day, holding up quite nicely at this $38.05 level. As we see on the weekly chart, this has been a past level of support where we have gotten bounces for Away. It too is showing an increase in the selling that is coming in. It had a gap up this morning to this point here, just above 40, back above the 100-day moving average, but then started selling off with the market as the rest of the day went along. And so it may be starting to work its way back up, but this larger volume day, above average volume, a big portion of that has been selling volume. Real quickly, we'll take a look at MasterCard, which we were in a trade on. MasterCard, we highlighted a couple of days ago. It has continued to feed down, and it appears as if the $72 target will be a good target. We are appearing to be closing at the lower range on MasterCard. And so as it continues to push down, and this is something that's fairly typical, as you see in the action of MasterCard today. MasterCard came up and tested the midsection of this large candle here. Oftentimes there's a level of hidden resistance or support if it's testing on the way up, and oftentimes those hidden areas are visible on an intraday chart. So if you use intraday charts, you can take a look and see if there's any gaps, if there's any support resistance areas, which would show that's where it was going to turn around. This turned out to be a very good trade because we got into the MasterCard up in this 77.50 level, and with the $78 April puts, and as we drop down and hit these various levels of past support, that's where we started clearing the position and selling off, just taking partial profits on the way down. Have a little bit left that we're expecting this move down to the 72, but that's been an exceptionally profitable trade. One of the other stocks that we looked at yesterday was, I'll just pop it up real here, Netflix. Netflix. Keep a good eye on Netflix because it may be posturing right now for a flag type pattern. If this is your flagpole from here to here, we're moving sideways, and if we break after a few days of consolidation, if we break below this lower portion of the flag, we can anticipate continued move on Netflix all the way down to potentially this congestion and support zone that is between 320 and a little over 330, probably about 335. And as we see, the 200-day moving average is starting to move back up. But this is a very classical move for stocks as they're selling off. Is they'll come, drop down about a halfway of their move, start putting a flag, and then once it breaks out this lower support level, you can anticipate a move on approximately the same magnitude as from the top of the flag pole to where the flag forms for to continue to the downside. So that's it for today. The market continues to be under pressure and may actually go into a correction as of today. So trade wisely and trade profitably. This is Dennis Wilburn with the Active Trend Traders saying, have a great one.